Hi, this is Don Campbell with Expand to Web, and I want to share with you an infographic that I recently put together. It's called What Should an Online Article Cost? And the reason I put this infographic together is I was getting a lot of questions. When I work with small business owners, I tell them one of the most important things that they can do is to come up with a mini content strategy. Think about what kind of content they're going to be publishing to their new website or blog over a period of time. And that usually results in some sort of a conversation about, gosh, I have a lot of ideas, but I don't have time to write them. And so what I recommend is that they talk to a copywriter. But there's a lot of confusion around copywriting because you can find some really great people to write articles for you. But how much should they cost and what goes into those articles? So what I try to do here is lay out some considerations that I look for. And so that I know if I'm getting a good deal, because I've worked with a lot of copywriters, and what I've found is that you can get really cheap articles. You can get articles for $5 or less. You can outsource them, and people in different countries will do them where $5 means a lot more than it does here. But what I have found is that when I get an article made for $5, I end up having to do a whole lot of extra work around that. And ultimately, the reason I'm outsourcing something is so that I can it's so that I don't have to spend the time doing it because I'm busy with other things and I'm not a great writer. So what I'm looking for is a really good writer who can write a complete article for me. Now, if somebody has to do a lot of research, then these articles can cost a lot of money. So what's the balance? And I want to share with you the balance that I have found and what I've looked at and some of the factors I look at. So first thing I look at is, how long do I need this article to be? For a typical blog post, maybe it's 600 words, 400 to 600 words, and I want it to be well written, and it needs to be unique and original. So that's the other factor I look at is this original content that's interesting to people? Because you really need, Google's not going to reward you for content that's been copied from somewhere else on the web and just pasted on your blog. It's looking for you to put your own unique perspective and opinion out. And that's what I like to do. I like to give an article to a copywriter and say, hey, here's what I want you to write about. And here's an outline of the things that I need you to cover because, I have an opinion on this and I want this to be valuable and I can give them some guidance. And maybe even I reference a couple of articles on the web, say you can get ideas from here, but I want this to be in your own words. Well, when you pay more for an article, you're going to get more thought-provoking content, right? Because somebody's spending some time with it and they're thinking about what a unique angle is. The best copywriters I've worked with, they've been able to come up with some really cool angles on a topic that I wouldn't have thought of and then write about them in a more engaging way. And so if the copywriter needs to do research, that's going to cost you money too, right? If they're spending time and backing up some of the points they're making in the articles, then making it more informative, that's going to cost extra money. The other thing I found is a lot of times when I get a cheap article, even if the creator of the article is a native, English speaking person or whatever your language is that your audience uses, I've frequently have to go back and do a lot of editing. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to rewrite the article. And so when you work with good copywriters, they're going to do a good job for you, deliver, articles that have good grammatical structure and spelling is correct, and I don't have to worry. I can get to the point where I can look the article over and read it. I don't have to make any changes, right? Good copywriters will also ask you what kind of keywords that you care about for this article, and they'll weave those in a way that makes sense and doesn't sort of make the article overbearing, that doesn't stuff it with keywords. The other thing they'll do is they'll make it so it's easy to scan because we know that people, they don't read all the text in your article. They scan around. They're looking for headlines and bold text and images, and they're looking for things like that so that they can scan for something that catches their attention, and then they'll read that section. But they're not reading your article from top to bottom. Distribution is another thing. One thing that I hate is getting an article, somebody sends me a Word document with a whole bunch of content in it. Now I've got to go to my WordPress blog and figure out how to sort of cut and paste. I frequently end up doing a bunch more formatting again, having to get this article ready to publish. Good writers, they'll go to your WordPress. You set up a user ID for them as a contributor or an author. They'll write the article and put it in WordPress for you. And then they'll give it to you. They'll send it up for your approval. And you can publish it live whenever you're ready once you've approved it. So those are the kind of things that I look for. The last thing I would say is the last couple things I'd say here are the project size. One of the things that works with copywriters is if you say, hey, I need X number of articles a month, I want 4 articles a month, or I want a couple articles a week, then they'll give you a better price because they understand that you're going to be coming back to them, and they have a sort of a consistent flow of work, and so they'll give you better prices for that. And so ultimately, what you're looking for is a well-written article that's that puts your point of view out there that people are going to engage with. I mean, more and more, the ranking factors for Google include engagement over social media and comments and likes and plus ones and things like that. So you've got to write an article not only that's unique, but that's compelling. And for that, you're going to pay money. So what I have found is, I've paid $125, $150 for articles before, but not all of them have to be that way. So what I found is sort of like a sweet spot for an online article. It's around $50. Now, you're not going to get everything I talked about in that right-hand column, but you're going to get a well-written article. This person's going to know something about SEO. They're going to make it grammatically correct. They might link to other parts of your website or include an image, but some minor amount of research is involved. So this isn't an absolute. I'm just saying it's around $50 for a typical blog post. If you want something longer, more research is involved, it's going to cost you more. So just some guidelines I wanted to share with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I've really been successful over the last few years of hiring and finding some good writers. And this is what's worked really well for me. So I hope you like the infographic. And if you do, I'd appreciate it if you'd like it or plus one it or tweet it or something and help me get the word out. And thanks for watching.